part 2 of 500 Days of Summer. I still had more notes.
Hi again.
Hi again.
Yeah, and sorry, all my notes, I was so enthralled with my own notes that I completely didn't even consider that Teddy might have more notes.
Yeah, you just wrapped up and we're like, all right, then we've said my 3 notes, and I'm like scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and just looking at all mine, thinking like, well, I guess I'm chopped liver.
Sorry, this is how we learn and grow together.
Yeah.
You know, it's all good.
By the way, I would like to note I watched your live stream with your friends.
Yeah.
Your smelly podcast. I can't remember what you call it.
No, it's Mathwa. It's the Metal as Fuck Variety Hour on Ice. That is with DDLD.
Okay.
Yeah, my friend Joe, also known as Dry Down Low Down. And yeah, Mr. Smelly doesn't really do streams with all of us anymore, but I was on Mr. Smelly for a while. I was his official co-host, actually, but then he got a girlfriend, and now, you know, he doesn't do anything. But anyway, so you watched it.
He talked about our podcast, which was very nice of him.
Yeah, wasn't that nice? Yeah, he's great.
Did make fun of my name a little bit, which is not great, but
No,
also makes sense. Thought it was very cool of him to kind of bring that up and support us in that way. So would love to send a little love back to that podcast and give people a chance.
Yeah, please watch me on Metal as Fuck Variety Hour on Ice. And actually, you should show up on at least in the comments, because we have a TV show segment. We'll just pick a show. Like right now, we're talking about Welcome to Derry, Pluribus. Nice. I don't know if you've started that.
I have started. I haven't gotten.
Yeah, I watched the first episode, but him and Mr. Clean are a few episodes in. By the way, Mr. Clean listened to our thing and was saying that you have a wonderful podcasting voice.
Oh, thank you.
You were very good.
I really appreciate that.
Now I feel a little bit competitive that I have to have a good podcasting voice. But yeah, no, that show, that show is a lot of fun. It does get a little wild because sometimes people in the comments try to start a little bit of, you know, mischief, but it's fine. We deal with it. But we'll talk about movies, we'll talk about pop culture stuff, hot topics and things. So it's really fun. So definitely, check it out. It's on DDLD's YouTube channel. So yeah, thanks.
Yeah, the format of that podcast was terrifying to me. Just speaking live, first of all, I do a lot of editing on our podcast to cut out as many ums and ahs and likes as I can, because I say like too much. But having people give you real-time feedback and try to bust your chops would crush my soul. I don't think I could handle that.
He's really good with doing the video segments, and he has little graphics and videos, you know, before every segment, and it's very cleverly done. So
well, he turned our logo into a flying Cupid,
which was so cool.
Which was it was very cute. But I also know that there was AI involved, and I think AI is the devil.
You and my boyfriend, man, you know, I have like pros and cons of it. I'm overall not a fan of it, but I recognize its purposes, and I recognize that it's not going away.
Yeah.
And how do you do it responsibly? How do you do it ethically and everything? And
just to be clear, as a temporary aside, in case the AI overlords hear this and want to destroy me in the future, I do think it's an incredible tool and can do some amazing things. I just, as a person who is never not working on a creative project, I feel very threatened that, it can do what I do and do it better and faster, and that makes me sad. So that's really my only beef. I have no real beef with it as a technology. But anyway.
Yeah, back to 500 Days of Summer and all of the notes that I completely squashed.
Yeah, thanks for stomping on
Take it away, Teddy. Go ahead, just jump right into it.
So we're just going to hit some things like bullet style, right?
Yeah,
because,
let's do it quickly.
We'll see. We don't have a ton of time, so we'll just hit it as like a bonus episode.
Bonus.
But one of the things that I thought was really well done was that they show how difficult it can be to talk to an attractive person. I think that is not said enough in everyday life. That there's this kind of controversy going on right now about why don't men approach women anymore, and a lot of men are saying because women have told us that we're pieces of garbage who shouldn't do that, and so we're trying not to be creeps. This is well before any of that conversation has happened, but they show him being just kind of stunned when she makes conversation, and she's saying, I think, something about that he's listening to the Smiths, and she's like, oh, I love the Smiths, and he's like, what? And I'm sure that doesn't happen to Joseph Gordon-Levitt in real life, because
he's a good-looking guy.
My ex was obsessed with him,
really
so
cute.
I have a little bit of hurt feelings about how much she loved Joseph Gordon-Levitt more than me. That's neither here nor there. scrambling your brain is what happens when you talk to a Zooey Deschanel in real life. I think there have been so many women who are shocked by that. They're like, what? Just like talk to us. It's no big deal. And it's like, do you understand? Our brain is literally in fight or flight or fawn or freeze mode. And we're just like, do you like doors? Doors are good for getting into rooms, you know.
I don't really think about that much, I guess.
I bet you don't.
I don't, because I will talk to anybody. I'm not intimidated to talk to anybody.
Yeah.
I've definitely been flustered, maybe when I was younger and going through my ugly ducklings syndrome. Talking to more attractive guys, I might have gotten a little flustered, but...
But you recover.
I recovered. It was fine.
Whereas whenever I have talked to really any woman who I'm romantically interested in, I just freeze up. There's no suave. You know, when I'm talking to a friend, I'm too talkative. I am making jokes all the time.
Right.
I will bring up any topic. I will talk about anything. But when I'm talking to someone who I find attractive, I just find it very difficult to function. Again, I just thought it was a moment of realism that stuck out to me, and I appreciated it as someone who struggles with that. So thank you to the movie makers who thought that was worth including. Romance in the workplace. We talked about in the last episode where she sexually assaults him in the copy room. He's okay with it, obviously, but I just think it's funny how in movies and TV shows and whatever else, romance in the workplace never seems to cause any problems.
They say, don't shit where you eat.
Right.
I kind of agree, because it can go so horribly wrong.
Yeah, I have had 2 situations where dating somebody at work, and they both ended in flames and made me terrified to go to work because what is this person going to do to sabotage my professionalism?
Yeah.
Is there going to be awkwardness in our meetings when we're having to interact? So it's just not worth it. Neither of those relationships went anywhere. They were both great people, blah, 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 blah. I just don't understand why people think it's totally fine to meet at work. I'm assuming there's tons of people in the world who have met their partner at work and it's panned out and it's great. I've known a few, but for me, it's just such an awkward transition, especially in the age of overzealous HR, right? Why would you take that risk? This person better be your dream person, I guess.
Yeah, I've only done that once and it did not end well. And luckily, because I was technically a temporary employee and I did not get a full-time position the following year, but it was for the best because I went somewhere that I've been for 20 years now and I love. I felt like it was meant to be. And that happened shortly thereafter, so I didn't really have to be with him at work much longer after that. It was probably just a couple weeks, and it was definitely awkward. So, yeah, I don't recommend it.
Yeah. Well, it's why they're movies, right? Everything works out in the movies, or, well, in this movie it didn't, but...
It did not, which is why I like it.
So another kind of thing talking about the workplace is that Tom and Summer have very different views of his career trajectory, right? So he is kind of thinking, I'm fine with this job. It's no big deal. I can do it. I'm really good at it. People are always asking him for advice, even in different categories. He writes greeting cards. And I think the greeting card motif is such a cool tie-in to the themes of this movie, where they're talking about, is love real? Is it not? If someone else is writing your greeting card for you, are you capable of romance? You know, like
I love that speech. It's like,
Yeah.
We buy cards not because we want to say it, shows what we want to say. It's because we don't know how to say it.
Yeah. I am a huge, and this will probably be no shock to you, I hate greeting cards.
Yeah. I kind of do too now.
Why? Oh, why do you? That surprises me.
Well, I was raised in a greeting card family. My family loves cards. And I was always kind of like, okay, it's just the thing that you do. But my ex-husband hated greeting cards. He thought they were stupid. He thought they were a waste. He threw them out right away. He had no sentimentality with anything. And I think I absorbed a little bit of that. So here's the thing. Greeting cards now are like $10.
Yeah.
You could get a whole other present, which is so lame. And I feel like they're very kind of fake. So here's the thing. This is where I have my son earn his keep, because my son is an artist. He's an incredible artist. He's 17. When I feel like I need a card, I just have him make
that's
a card.
amazing. Your son really is a talented artist.
Thank
I
you.
have always been impressed with his work.
Yeah, he churns them out, and I'm like, okay, well, time to earn your keep here.
Yeah.
Make me some greeting cards. And it's much more special and meaningful.
My problem with greeting cards is that, first of all, you're outsourcing your feelings. You're asking somebody else to say what, as Tom's character say, you don't know what to say, right? I do. I can say what I want to say. I'm a pretty good writer. The problem for me is that there's no reason to say that thing multiple times a year in poetic form or in beautiful prose, whatever. So, for example, whenever I've dated somebody who is into greeting cards and you need to write one for their birthday, for Christmas, for Valentine's Day, for your anniversary, or whatever else, that is too many times to say the broad strokes of your relationship in beautiful writing. You can say that once a year and cover the bases, in my opinion. You don't need to keep
once a year, what, to say that someone's meaningful to you? And
no, you can say someone's meaningful to you, but when I write a greeting card, I'm covering both pages. And in my last relationship, like, she was a greeting card person, so I had to write that stuff. And then when she would give me one, it was basically like, nice to know you. You've been great. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I just poured out my heart and you're giving me back.
That makes me sad for you.
I mean, she was like, well, you don't care about greeting cards. I'm like, oh, I don't. But also, if I'm going to...
It's more meaningful that you did it knowing that you weren't into them.
Right. Into greeting cards. I was into the person, just to be clear.
Yeah, no, like, no, yes, into greeting cards. Like, the fact that even though you don't really believe in greeting cards, you don't really like them, the fact that you got them because you know it was important to her and you expressed yourself, that's even more meaningful.
Right. But then it stings a little bit when the person gives you back a card and it's literally one sentence when you emptied your heart onto it.
You know, just more reasons why I don't like this person.
She's a great person. It's the relationship doesn't work, right? Like, there's incompatibilities there. It's no shade on her. It's just very much like Tom and Summer. There are things there that are incongruous between them that will never work, and that's fine. Kind of getting back to the work thing, right? He is stuck at this job and is fine doing it forever. Summer's asking him about it, and he says, well, I don't even want to do this job right now, or something along those lines. And she says, well, you should just do something else then. And it was kind of another example to me of her being in the attractiveness bubble, the naivete of somebody who is just like, just change careers. What's the big deal? I've known so many people like that, and I think this goes back several episodes to when we were talking about people in Pretty in Pink who solve every problem with money.
Right.
People who come from money don't view problems as real problems because they are so used to being able to solve it with money. So Tom, who somehow inexplicably has a giant, airy loft apartment in the city.
I know.
Despite writing greeting cards, and has enough money to take time off to transition his career and sit in coffee shops all day, he is a little bit more worried about changing careers because it's obviously like a big scary thing to do. But Summer's just like, what's the big deal? Just change careers. So that drove me a little crazy because that's not really an option for everybody, right? It's, for example, right now, it's a terrible job market. I know tons of people who have been looking for work, qualified, intelligent, gifted people who are out of work and cannot find any because the market is so tough. And I just think really frustrated me about Summer.
Yeah, I feel like Tom is maybe a little privileged in that I'm guessing because he's still probably like early 20s, right? And I think his parents are still probably paying for stuff. He grew up in Margate. Margate is, I love Margate. I love going out in Margate. It is a very affluent area. Expensive restaurants, so they probably, I'm just guessing, maybe I'm overshooting here, but I'm guessing that part of the reason why he can afford all of those things is because mommy and daddy are footing some of the bill.
That's a great observation. And I think somebody said on Reddit a long time ago, because the question came up, why is everybody rich in movies? And somebody pointed out, movies about poor people are boring. They don't have anything. They can't do anything. They're powerless. They can take no action. And the only action they can take is doing a heist. And for most people, that's not where they want to take the movie. So I think in most movies, the way to get around that is just, well, either money is not an object, or it's more interesting to watch people take a yacht to the Maldives or whatever than it is to watch someone live in a cheap apartment in the back corner of Brooklyn or whatever it is. That's probably not even a good example anymore because it's been gentrified so much. So Tom, definitely an overthinker. Way too sensitive. I felt a lot of kinship there. I have been on both sides of the relationship that's in the movie. I have been the person that is treating the other person like Summer does, and I've also been the Tom where somebody else was kind of using me and I went along with it hoping that it would turn into something more, but the person was treating me like a child. But I think that there is kind of a larger childishness about both of them. I wasn't really sure if they were supposed to be 20s or early 30s.
I would say 20s.
20s,
I think
okay.
20s, yeah.
But there's a few things where she's like, oh, do you like me? And that whole conversation, I was like, what are you, 12? And she's even got like a bow in her hair.
Yeah.
At the wedding,
yeah,
they're seated at the kids' table. There's kind of just this like subtle theme of immaturity that I don't know if they intended it that way or it was just sort of things fell into place. But there's just a very big childishness about both of them.
They play the penis game, for God's sake, which I played.
Perfect example.
I played the penis game when I was in 5th grade, probably.
Oh my God, I did it in college, so I'm a little behind the curve. Another great example is when they do the porn movie thing. I thought that was one of the most realistic scenes in the movie where like they're watching porn, he's like a little uncomfortable with it, and then they try the sex move from the porn and end up breaking the shower.
It was called. It was really brilliant.
What was it called?
Sweet and shower.
Sweet and shower. Yeah. And, you know, it doesn't work out like they hope, and then they end up breaking the shower. I thought that was very realistic.
Yeah.
Again, kind of gets back to their being younger and sort of naive and everything. So I really respected that they show that Tom fails at reading that whole scene when she says, "Do you like me?" He is just kind of stunned and doesn't know what to do. There's clearly a moment where she's waiting for the kiss, and then she later has to take matters in her own hands in the copy room, violating every workplace policy there is. But as they're standing there on that street and she's waiting for the kiss, he does nothing. And then she kind of floats away and goes off, and he's looking after her longingly, kicking himself because he didn't take action. I have done that so many times. Has there been any failed moments that you've had?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because you were waiting for the kiss and didn't get it, or because you should have done the kissing and you didn't want to?
In some cases, I was waiting for the kiss that I didn't get. Other times, I was just afraid of rejection. Sometimes you don't know. You think, like, okay, it could go well. I could make the move, and it could go well. But also I could fail. I'm very afraid of failure and rejection. So I just thought like, oh, what if I do it? And then he starts pushing me away or something crazy like that. And then I just don't even want to address it. So yeah, I've had moments like that for sure. That scene though, the best part of that whole scene is Mackenzie when he's super drunk and he's like, he likes you. He's like, tell her, Tom, you know? And that's kind of the catalyst for bringing it up. So he does do them a little bit of a favor by even like broaching that, because I don't think it would have come up if he hadn't been so obnoxious about it.
You're right. He does a really good bro moment of just popping the bubble of pretending like they don't like each other.
Yeah.
But also, I felt a little bad for that friend because they just literally, he's sloppy drunk, can barely stand up, has been thrown out of a bar before for being too drunk or whatever. Yeah. And that's what they're worried about happening tonight. Yeah. And they literally just stick him in a cab and send the cab off into the night. And I'm just like, wait a minute. You're not going to go home with him and make sure he gets into the house? Like, you're just going to leave him in a cab. God knows if he's going to get robbed or just the cab's going to take him all around the city.
Right.
I thought that was also kind of funny in that whole karaoke scene. This is such a movie thing. It's a busy city bar. It's a packed house. But there are 3 people there who get to sing whatever songs they want, whenever they want. No one else is singing. Whenever they're not singing, the room is quiet. That is not how karaoke works in real life. You have to fight and claw and clamor your way to the stage in hope that you get one song.
Yeah.
And these people are just at will going up whenever they feel like it. It just drove me a little crazy. Kind of another example of their childishness is when they go to IKEA and they're rolling around on the bed in front of strangers and they just have no sense of their impact on other people, and they don't seem to worry about making other people uncomfortable, which I think is a very juvenile thing.
Right.
When you get older, some switch flips where you just realize, oh, I don't want to have a PDA and make these other people uncomfortable, or I don't want to scream penis in the middle of a park full of children and traumatize anybody because it's not just about me.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's people out there like, oh, you're just a big baby. Like, who cares? Like, let them have their fun.
Well, you know, I am actually a big fan of PDA, so I can't really speak to that.
Well, you're making everyone uncomfortable and you should stop it.
But...
But I really want to, and so therefore... I will do it anyway.
Look, I'm not saying you should be like humping someone in front of everybody. But if you're kissing and holding hands and there happen to be people, they don't have to look.
Kissing is not a big deal. They're literally rolling around on a bed and she's giving
I mean, I don't know that I'd necessarily do that.
Yeah. In a store.
In a store.
While there are children looking at them.
True.
So yeah. he's asking her, what is this? And she says, I'm not really looking for anything serious. What does that mean to you?
It, to me, means they want to keep things light and fun and not fully committed.
Right. So I think that this is part of the problem of people who want to not be serious, is that there is not a good definition of what that really means. And kind of going back to what we said in the last episode, your versions of that reality might differ significantly. So one person might think that that means we are not monogamous and I can sleep with other people.
Right.
The other person might think it means we are monogamous, but we can break it up at any time with no strings attached.
Some people might just think, oh, we're not getting married right now.
Right.
We're moving in right now. Like, to me, like, I've interpreted that kind of that way, I think. People are like, oh, it's not serious yet. It's like, oh, that means, like, you're not getting married. But it could still mean that you're in a monogamous relationship and you're seeing the person regularly. I mean, that's what they were doing. So I agree. There can be many interpretations of what serious entails.
I think that one of the big problems of relationships is the lack of a shared vocabulary, agreement on what terms mean or what you mean when you say something, because language can be imprecise and difficult sometimes to understand for people who haven't had the same experiences that you have or have the same mindset. And so this is one of those just dramatically nebulous phrases where I think it can cause so many problems because, oh, we're being casual. Well, what does that mean for you? And I think I would really like to encourage people to lay out the specifics for those of us who do not do well with abstractions, right? I don't tend to do well with situations where the person is being vague. Because I'm like, well, what do you mean exactly?
And everybody is vague these days, I feel like. That was my experience when I was on the apps and going on all these dates all the time and one situationship after another. And it was killing my soul. It was terrible because I want to have clarity. I cannot stand wishy-washiness. That is one of my biggest pet peeves in life. I cannot stand wishy-washy. I don't know. We'll see. I hate that. It not just with romantic relationships, but with anything. So I think with my boyfriend, we both made things very clear. We communicated about things, and I wasn't wondering what is going on here.
Yeah.
And that was very refreshing after all of those other experiences.
We all know that your boyfriend is perfect and has never done anything wrong, and your guys' relationship is perfect.
Well, no. Nobody's perfect, and I'm not perfect, certainly, but we have learned how to navigate conversations about things that bother each other or miscommunications or anything like that. So
I just think now that you're in a committed relationship, we need to kick you off the podcast and get someone in here who has.
Oh, well, it's funny because dating. So Mr. Clean was asking, he's like, so just question though, since this is a lot about dating and now you're not dating, do you think you can do it? Like, still, can you sustain it? And I said, yes, because first off, every other episode is going to be about movies and I can talk about those all day because not to brag, but I am a film professor.
Yeah.
I am an expert.
A credentialed expert in this topic.
I am. I have a communications degree as well, which involved a lot of film study. But not only that, I've walked the walk. I have been through all of these dates. Even though I'm not going through them now, I've been through them. I can speak to them. And I can also say on the other side of them what I learned, looking back.
Well, and also, it's about relationships, not just dating,
it's not just about dating. And
dating
I said, look,
we have a part of it, but...
We have a spreadsheet. We have an Excel spreadsheet of 100 different things that we can talk about. So don't you worry out there if you're like, wow, are they going to run out of content? No.
Yeah, not anytime soon.
No, especially with the movies. I've already thought, just in the past week, I've thought of 20 different movies that we should cover.
Getting back to 500 Days of Summer, I'm sorry that I busted your chops. I love you as a podcast host. And a friend. Just being silly. Yeah. But Joe edits himself from the very beginning. And I think that this is something that I have done so many times. It's something I have seen other people do in major relationships that I've had, where they are trying to make themselves workable for the other person because they can see that if they are who they genuinely are, that it will cause the relationship to fracture or to break or end.
That is a very good point.
So he says from jump that he's okay with casual, even though it is clear from every indication in the movie that he is not.
Right.
He pretends that he wasn't obsessed with her.
Right.
She busts his chops a little bit about that.
Yeah.
And that's just like a giant problem. He is pretending that he is someone that he is not. And again, does not come to terms with that maybe ever in the movie. Even at the end, he's like, well, why didn't you love me? And she's like, it wasn't you, it was somebody else that I was interested in eventually. And so, yeah, I have done that many times. I think some of the best advice I've ever heard about dating is that it used to be, I thought you should show up dressed your best to the first date. You should put your best foot forward. You should kind of tone yourself down, slowly release your quirks and everything over time. And there's this other perspective, which is you should show up in the first date wearing a hoodie, if that's what you wear, and just be yourself. And I know that sounds so silly and trite. It's not be yourself in the sense that you should just, I don't know, burp at the table or whatever, but you shouldn't also chop out who you are and pretend like you're okay with having kids if you're not, or whatever, you know, things that that have happened to me, right? Like on a first date, somebody told me they didn't want to have kids. And then a couple dates later, they said, I was lying. I really do. I just was afraid of what you would say. And I'm like, that's so messed up.
Yeah, you can't do that.
That's a pretty large and egregious example, but there's probably a ton of other examples that are not quite that significant, but people do all the time. I don't want to mention that I watch in reality shows or something. Or, I don't know, what's something that you've chopped off about yourself in order to make yourself more likable?
I've
never done that. I've always told people exactly who I am from jump.
Look, I think you know me well enough that I am a straight shooter. I am my authentic self. I don't really censor myself. You know, I think right now there are a lot of topics that are very touchy, that are very inflammatory. I probably, in the first couple interactions with people, don't give my full views about some, like, world things or hot topics, because the way people are now, it's like, oh, if this person doesn't think exactly the way I do, I'm just cutting them off without ever getting to know the real person. And I don't want it to be an automatic, and I don't want to know their things right away either, because I don't want it to influence how I feel about who they really are as a person at their core. Because 20 years ago, we would all just be getting along regardless. Now, if it's something so controversial, right, where it comes down to a fundamental, like how you feel about human rights and things like that, like I understand, but I wouldn't go in hot with all of that, because in a dating situation, it would, I think, kill the vibe. I have some strong opinions about government and things,
Yeah.
so
Please don't share them here.
I won't share them
into a flame
here,
war.
but I'm very realistic with things and what I think intentions of government are. But sometimes I think that probably scares people a little bit. So I don't really talk about that. I don't know. I think one of the things I struggle with is when I meet new people, even as friends, is I bond with people like easily, and I tend to trauma dump like the first meeting, and I tell my life story of like all these crazy things that happened without sometimes the awareness that this might be a little much for some people, some of the things that I've been through, but that's kind of my way of relating to people and showing this is me, this is like where I've been, these are my scars, and just put it out there up front so that we don't have to like dance around them. But I think I've kind of held back on that a little bit.
I do the same exact thing where I always want to skip past the whole, oh, what did you do this week?
Yeah.
And get to the, okay, what's your trauma?
Right.
And I do think that is probably unhealthy.
Yeah.
For years, I thought that was like the better way to go through life. And it has taken me some time and some piles of failures to kind of realize that maybe that is a self-absorbed or unhealthy way to view the beginning of relationships, right? That should come at a time when that person has earned that conversation, not just being like, imagine like if we were talking about literal scars, you meet someone and you're like, pull up your shirt and you're like, look at my C-section scar, like, or whatever, or look at my gallbladder surgery scar. Like, it's not a great way to start a conversation with somebody unless you're in a hospital or something. Maybe there are contextual, there's times when that would make sense, but when you're on a first date or whatever, my tendency was always to be like, all right, let's get to the good stuff. Let's get to the trauma. Like, let's talk about who you really are as a way to try to push past the surface level. But I don't know that that's really a healthy way to go through life.
I don't think it's the worst. Well, the very first time I met you, I do recall that we both did tell our trauma story.
Right.
And look at us now on a podcast.
Yeah. So now we're dumping our trauma on strangers.
Yeah, love it.
I feel like there's probably a lot of therapists and psychologists and psychiatrists out there who are saying, boundaries, take them through that in a linear way that builds over time rather than just coming in and being like, get straight to the trauma. I don't know what the right answer is there. I'm still figuring it out. I just think it's kind of an interesting thing that we do, which is to edit ourselves, but also the opposite end is just like we dump ourselves, right? Here's everything bad and let's just see how you can handle it. Maybe that works. I don't know. Maybe I don't know the right answer. We talked about her having some negative traits. I think one of those things, again, maybe it doesn't make her a villain, but she definitely keeps him in a place of casual disinterest, and she pretends like nothing is wrong when something is wrong. Mm-hmm. That, again, was upsetting to me because, upsetting in quotes.
Yeah.
Because, again, one of my major relationships, that was a real problem, where she would come over and say nothing is wrong and yet be completely shut down. And I'm asking, what is the problem? And she's saying, there's nothing wrong, there's nothing wrong, there's nothing wrong.
That's a girl thing, too. And I find it really frustrating, even as a friend, that a lot of times women will do that. They'll give you the cold shoulder, they'll give you the silent treatment, they'll pout, they'll cross their arms, they'll walk away, just like all the things she was doing. And you're like, what did I do? Like, did I do something? And you're just completely baffled, and I can't stand that.
I want to know what the reasoning is behind that. I'm guessing it's a way of avoiding difficult conversations, right? You don't expect that the person will give you the answer you're looking for, or you don't expect that the conversation will end in a constructive way, or it's just you don't have it in you today, you don't have the energy to go through an argument or something, but it's so frustrating to me. Why are you letting this wedge stand between us? Just get it out there.
Yeah.
Let's address the problem instead of pretending like it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
I've had that with work relationships in addition to romantic ones, and it just drives me bananas. And I would like to encourage everybody out there to not use that as a tactic in your relationship, because I cannot imagine that it's healthy in any sense, and it frustrated me to no end to watch Summer do it. Mm-hmm. This movie, I think, again, we're kind of just like bouncing around here in much the same way that the movie does. Moves around the timeline in a somewhat jarring way, but it all pays off. I don't know that we're going to pay it off, but I'm bouncing around here because I don't have a really great brain. I have the ADHD. So
me too. Join the club.
The movie's like so heavy on vibes, right? Mm-hmm. There's very little. There's some great dialogue in it, but it's sparse. And a lot of the time, things kind of in that postmodern way are played in montages. So they'll be sitting there at a diner, and you just hear like maybe one line of dialogue, and then it fades out, and there's just music, and there's like sunlight coming through the window, and they're just having a good time, and there's this soundtrack is bumping in the background. And I just kind of was interested that they're not really showing the details of their conversations. It's literally just how they feel.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting.
It's a good point.
You have nothing to say on that, though, so.
Not really.
Yeah, okay.
But again, that goes along with the superficiality of everything.
Yeah.
That is there really depth? Maybe the deepest conversations we saw were like the ones where they were laying in bed and they're talking. And still that one's like, oh yeah, I have dreams about my teeth falling out and things like that. Oh, do you ever get scared of this? Do you ever get scared of that? Oh, they're really bonding with me because they're telling me all their deepest, darkest fears. But really, it's just like a superficial conversation you could have with anybody.
Yeah.
Like, you could ask anybody, like, oh, what are the creepy dreams that you have?
Yeah, that did rub me a little bit the wrong way when she says the dream that, and the narrator comes in and says, like, Tom realized that she had never said this to anyone before.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, well, that's probably because she's pretty shallow. Mm-hmm. It's not that she revealed something very important. It's just that dreams are not, I don't know. I don't really like talking about dreams, except for the fact that mine are really wacky. And I like seeing people's reactions when they're like, what is wrong with you? When I tell them mine, but I only ever do it if they show interest. I don't usually volunteer that information.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the whole conversation about dreams seemed kind of silly to me. There was another scene where she talks about, because they kind of play up this theme throughout the whole movie, where he doesn't really want to go for the risk of becoming an architect, but she is like, oh, he could be. She sees, and I think it's played that she sees his potential.
Yes.
But I feel like it's maybe just kind of insensitive and maybe a little condescending that she is not okay with his perfectly fine job of writing greeting cards and is like, no, being an architect is definitely better and has more value as a person. Do you know what I'm saying? You probably would agree with Summer, but I'm just like, whatever, there's merit in all kinds of jobs, and like, I don't think that being an architect is any better than being
Well, here's the thing. She's not exactly setting the world on fire with her career. Like, what is she? She's an assistant?
Yeah.
Like, that's her whole goal, is to be, like, and she leaves to go somewhere else, but I don't think they ever tell you where.
No.
So, it's like, okay, you know, calm down. It's not like you're solving the problem of, like, world peace or anything like that. You're not to discredit secretaries and things like that, but I don't see where she's super passionate about being a secretary.
Yeah.
Or being an assistant. I mean, she seems fine with it. She, I guess, is like a people person in that regard, and she got along well enough with Millie to be invited to her wedding, but I don't think she's in a position to preach to anybody about how they're not fulfilling their potential.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You mentioned that he probably has wealthy parents. I'm like, well, she must, right? Mm-hmm. She is living in this gorgeous apartment that has wallpaper on it and stuff. Mm-hmm. All of her stuff's in boxes, and she has nothing hanging on the walls. What is it with women and not hanging stuff up on the walls? I have dated several women where they just have all their stuff is just like lying on the floor, and they don't have anything hung up on the walls. And I'm like, I will bring over my screwdriver, my hammer, my tools.
My boyfriend says that too, because I have some things hanging on walls, but I also have had my Breakfast Club poster has been sitting in my dining room.
Yeah, like, what is it with that? Hang stuff up on the walls. Look like you live there.
No. Well, you can come hang things up if you want, if it's bothering you.
Yeah. Anytime. I will bring over the tools. There's this whole scene where he explodes at work, and he just has this meltdown, and it's kind of his pivot. He quits the greeting card company because he thinks that they're bullshit, and he realizes that he is perpetuating the saccharine nature of romance and culture, and he doesn't want to contribute. There's enough shit in the world, I don't want to add any more to it or something like that. Yeah. And then he storms out on a huff, which again, so self-absorbed, right? His boss was so understanding, so kind, treats him with such respect and dignity. His friend works there, right? Like, he has all these relationships, and he just shits on all of it and storms out. And
I mean, he writes a card that says, roses are red, violets are blue, fuck you, whore. I mean, so I think most bosses would say, I think you're fired.
He's a little burned out. Yeah, he's clearly had enough. But I just think it's so, as a person who has never gotten to have professional comeuppance or some sort of satisfaction by telling off the bosses that treated me terribly, that felt so false and frustrating. I just wanted him to, like, walk out quietly and give his 2 weeks because he doesn't want to burn the bridge in case he has to come back. But I guess that's what makes it a movie and not realistic.
I think the function of that was to show just how emotionally damaged he is, because it's like, hey, look, he's so messed up from this breakup that he's doing crazy like, that is wild. Most people would not, even if they didn't like their job, you know, I don't think they'd go on a rant like that in front of your boss and in front of all these other employees. And he calls out the poor lady with the cat, you know, like, and he's like, this is shit. Like, he totally disses her, and even his friend Mackenzie, who's normally also a little bit wacky, is like, Tom, like, stop. Even he thinks he's gone too far, and that's saying something because he goes too far in a lot of situations. So I think it's just showing that he is at the end of his rope, and he's really, really damaged at this point.
Yeah. Well, I'm, I guess, glad that he was able to have that professional satisfaction of telling off his very nice boss who treated him so well, and shitting on everyone in the room who now is going to question their own. I just wonder, like, did it trigger a bunch of, you know, copycat quittings, and now that company's out of business because they don't have enough writers? So wrapping this up here, I think this movie is a fun movie to watch. I think it's incredibly damaging.
Oh, you think it's damaging?
In the theme that we are talking about with this podcast, that these movies shape the way that we view relationships, I think this movie does all of that to a factor of 10. It is saying that the first time you have sex with somebody, it's going to be a music video where people are screaming with joy in the streets about your sex, right? In a color-coordinated, choreographed dance. The birds are going to be chirping around you like a Disney movie.
Well, that's just how he feels.
That's how he feels, but, like, that is communicating to the viewer that that is how you should feel.
I didn't see it that way.
It's prescriptive as well as descriptive, I think.
I saw it as, wow, this guy's so blinded. I think it would have come off as that if you didn't know going into that scene that they're not together, that they've broken up eventually. They tell you in the beginning this is not a love story. And so I actually took it as, wow, look at his naivety, because he thinks that having sex with her now means that everything's just going to be great.
Yeah.
So that's how I took it, but that's the great thing about movies. You can make it your own.
It's up to the viewer, sure. Mm-hmm. And maybe that's my own bullshit where I'm just like, I'm old and bitter, and I'm just like, these movies have created this expectation for so many women that there should be dancing and shouting and pop music playing every time you kiss somebody, and there should be these very touching moments. You're in a diner and there's golden hour sunlight pouring through and you're having all these vibey conversations, and everyone should be color coordinated to your feelings. Again, makes for very good entertaining movie, but I do think it shapes our vocabulary in a negative way and creates these false expectations. And I have come to believe over the many years that I've been on this earth that expectations are the death of the moment and reality and joy, because there have been so many examples in my life where if I could, in that expectations versus reality scene, where if he had just shown up and said, I'm going to take it as it comes, I know that we did not work together as a couple, but I can now accept a friendship with her and treat her like a human being who's not just a romantic interest. Maybe they could have had a satisfying friendship for the rest of their lives, as opposed to just being like, oh, she's not my romantic partner, then she's not worth anything. So I think that applies to a lot of our daily lives. There have been so many times when I wish I could just turn off the expectations and walk into the situation and accept it at face value. Mm-hmm. Whether that's a romantic relationship, my relationship with my son, my job, friendships.
Yeah.
Relationships with your parents, right? Like if you can just put the expectations aside. I mean, obviously that takes years, and it takes therapy, and it takes maybe medication for some people, meditation, whatever it is, journaling, all the tools that people need to be able to get there. I do think they would have a lot more, and this is myself talking as well, I think that there would be a lot more we'd get out of life than just expecting that everything will go our way and fate will bring us that perfect person and everything will just be a color coordinated music video for the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
That's everything we have on this movie.
I can't imagine people would have listened to this whole thing without ever watching 500 Days of Summer, but maybe they just like us that much that they are willing to listen to us talk about anything. But if you have not seen the movie, obviously see the movie. I think it's really well done. I love that it is a non-conventional love story. And I think there's a lot of lessons here worth taking away.
Right. And at the very least, even if you don't appreciate the substance, it's a beautifully shot and looking movie, right? It's these two very attractive leading actors, and the music's great, the scenery's great, the graphic design of his drawings that ties into the aesthetic of the movie, right? There's so many pieces that work together to make a very cohesive film. So I absolutely agree it's worth a watch, even if you don't want to let it shape your romantic relationships.
Yeah, and once again, thank you to everyone who has listened. Like, share, spread the word about us. We'd really appreciate it. And I guess we'll see you in the next one.
All right. See you later.